Before we begin today's episode of Thorgiween, make sure that you check out our TeePublic store where you can get the brand new Thorga-Lantern shirt in honor of Thorgiween. If you order now, it should be able to arrive to you before Halloween. The link to our TeePublic store where you can buy that and many other Thorgiween shirts will be in the description down below. Now enjoy today's episode.
Today we are going to review A Star is Born. I have no idea what the movie is about, but I loved it. Now I'm going to bark for 2 hours straight.
This is either the worst thing to ever happen to my channel or the best thing to ever happen to my channel. Okay, great. My dog is getting famous on my channel and I'm stuck up here in the middle of a snowstorm watching over this stupid hotel. Alright, but screw it. Even if I am trapped up here, it's still Thorgiween, and that means it's time to get in the Halloween spirit. So join me, won't you? I hate this. Alright, Thorgiween is about more than just pumpkins. It's about everything creepy and spooky, and just celebrating everything that goes bump in the night. So, to get in the Thorgiween spirit, let's kick things off by doing a top 10 list of our favorite movie monsters ever. However, there is a metric truck ton of movie monsters out there, so to help whittle it down a little bit, a few ground rules. First ground rule for this list, our definition of monster will be something that is in no way human. I know this might seem obvious to most of you, but we're expanding that definition to include things that are still part human. So no vampires, no werewolves, no ghosts, no mummies, and no Brundlefly. Also, monsters have to be something organic, so no robots and no mental nightmare creations like It from It Follows. Next rule, all the monsters on this list have to be antagonist. Things our heroes are fighting or running away from. So no Hellboy and no King Kong. What? King Kong was totally the hero of that movie. Don't even at me on this one. That dude didn't want to go to New York and sing and dance on Broadway. He was just chilling in his jungle and saving a lady from a dinosaur. There. Now with all those ground rules in place, surely it will be easy lowering our list of monsters down to only 10. Nope. Still had way too many, so enjoy this Titanic-sized honorable mentions list. In retrospect, I probably should have warned you guys before I put that last clip in there. Feel free to pause the video right now as you spend the rest of your life trying to forget that you just saw that image. Then when you're done, come back for number 10. Number 10, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yes, I know his official name is the Gill Man, but that name doesn't do this classic monster justice. Where most of the classic Universal monsters were inspired by older stories, this creature was an original creation, and yet he still left a big enough impact to become a cult classic. Even though he was only in 3 movies, 4 if you include a small part in Monster Squad, he still has a die-hard audience that holds on to him as their favorite of these classic creepies. And I think a lot of that has to do with his unique design. There really was no other monster out there at the time that looked like the creature. But also, he had such a spooky setting. I mean, is there any place more disturbing to run into a monster than a swamp? And he also has just a dash of sympathy to him because, hey man, he didn't ask for humans to come in there and wreck his home. You can't really blame a guy for fighting back. but he still fights back and he still is a giant green scaly monster, so I'm still counting him as an antagonist, which means he still makes this list. Number 9, Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. Okay, purely on paper, Audrey 2 already makes it onto this list. It's huge, keeps growing bigger, eats people, and is loaded with teeth. But personality also goes a long way, and Audrey has a truckload of sass behind that horrifying physique of theirs, and those teeth are hiding the voice of an angel. But you know, one of the bad angels. And in case you don't think that Audrey 2 is scary enough to make it onto this list because they're from a musical, watch the original ending to Little Shop of Horrors. It's actually pretty disturbing. But even beyond the looks and the voice, Audrey 2 is so manipulative, taking control of the Nebuch Seymour and ruining his life all so that it can grow more powerful. Audrey 2 might be a mean green mother from outer space, but its heart is pure black. Number 8, Chernabog from Fantasia. Chernabog doesn't make it any higher than the number 8 spot because he's only in one animated short, and quantity does have to count for something, but what he lacks in that, he more than makes up for in quality. When I think of the devil, I think of this guy. He's got one of the best musical scores of any monster on this list. He's gorgeously animated, and I don't know exactly what he's doing in this short with all these spirits he's summoning, but it creeped me right the hell out. Yes, he might only have 10 minutes of screen time, but they're a damn creepy 10 minutes. Number 7, The Predator. The Predator has a lot going for it. One being the fact that it's just a badass. I mean, it's the greatest hunter in the galaxy. It literally goes from planet to planet, killing the strongest contenders it can find. He literally kills the people that would easily survive any other horror film. But in the original film, I have to give it points for the mystery surrounding it. I mean, we basically spend the entire movie with no idea what's out there in the woods, constantly asking ourselves,
what the hell are you?
And then when we finally get an answer to that, we're introduced to one of the best monster designs in movie history. Seriously, decades later, and that monster still looks good. So, for combining savagery, cunning, and pure raw strength all into one chilling package, the Predator easily makes it onto this list. Number 6, The Death Angels from A Quiet Place. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that name either. It kind of feels like for such an atmospheric and haunting movie as A Quiet Place, the name Death Angels seem a little bit too extreme and radical for them, but yeah, that's the only name that the internet has come together and agreed upon for them, so for the time being, we're stuck with them. But seriously, someone get Krasinski on the phone on this one. He has to have a better name for these things, right? The Death Angels, yeah, it's still weird saying that, have one of the most original and terrifying premises behind them I've seen in any horror film. They're insanely fast, nearly indestructible, are strong enough to kill someone in a single swipe of their claws, and they can hear you from miles away. These creatures were able to decimate the entire planet within the matter of a few months, basically turning an entire world into a ghost town. You truly feel like there is no safe place with these monsters around. You could move states away and yet one squeaky floorboard and you're dead. And it's because of the fact that they force everyone to be quiet that these monsters actually do something that almost no other creature in film history has done. So many monsters have terrifying scores and sound effects that we closely associate with them, but when it comes to the Death Angels, we associate silence with them, which makes it so that even when it seems like they're not around, yeah, you're still terrified because that means that they could still be here any minute. Number 5, the Cloverfield monster from Cloverfield. Clovey gets this high for the mystery surrounding it. No one knows what it is, where it came from, or what it wants. Is it from space, a military experiment, some ancient creature bubbling up from the Earth's core? Who knows? And this mystery adds to how scary it is because you have no idea what it's going to throw at you next. I'll never forget when I was watching this movie and it started dropping scales off of itself, only for me to realize, oh, those aren't scales. Those are mini versions of itself, and they can hunt you down no matter where you try to hide. Well, luckily, they're pretty small, so they don't look that tough. I mean, What's the worst thing that could happen to you if they end up catching you? Oh god, no. And a lot of the success for the Cloverfield monster and the mystery surrounding it comes from the way that was filmed. Do you know how hard it is to keep a giant 200-foot tall monster a secret? And yet the way it's constantly concealed in shadows and smokes and hiding behind buildings, and the way you just see one arm here, a tail there, the build up to its reveal is one of the best of any monster in movie history. Number 4, The Thing from John Carpenter's The Thing. When I was a kid, I was terrified of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The idea of a microscopic organism that could take over someone's body, then spread to other people like a disease, all the while pretending to be that person and you being completely unable to tell that there was something different about them, that was terrifying to me. Now, take that and combine it with body horror that even Cronenberg and Lovecraft couldn't think of. Being trapped in a deserted location with this monster built paranoia in The Thing, forcing you to keep asking who it could possibly be, but whenever you got an answer to that question, you'll immediately wish that you hadn't. The practical effects of these mutations are some of the scariest creations in movie history, and I just watched this movie again to review it this month, and they still hold up over 30 years later. In fact, I'll go ahead and say it. No practical effect in any other horror film has ever topped what we got in The Thing. Number 3, Godzilla. Okay, I know some people are going to argue with this because I said they had to be an antagonist and Godzilla has been a hero for dozens of films now, but I'm not picking Godzilla from just some random movie. I'm picking Godzilla from the recent reboot, Shin Godzilla. Not only did this capture everything that made the original Godzilla terrifying, making him feel truly unstoppable, but showing us his evolution made him feel even more destructive. When Godzilla is in its earliest stages, when it's just being born in this film, it's just carving a path of destruction with no conscious thought behind it, and that made it even scarier because you had no idea where it was going to go next. But once Godzilla hit its final evolution, it made the classic monster more terrifying than any movie before it, and it made this creature feel apocalyptic in scale. There are moments in this film where Godzilla lets his powers loose, and it makes you really think, this is it. This is how the world is going to end. There really is no hope because nothing can stand up against this. However, if Godzilla is going to cause the end of the world, at least it's going to look freaking awesome. Greatest destruction of a city ever. Now for something completely different, at number 2, Gremlins. Yes, I know they don't exactly have size going for them. I mean, you could stack 3 of these things on their shoulders and they still wouldn't even come up to my chest, but size isn't everything. And when it comes to the presentation behind them, the quality, and the quantity, no monster blends all of that together better than Gremlins. First off, they have a great mystery behind them. You get this cute little adorable fuzzball from a mystical magical old man, and he seems fun and friendly, but there are a handful of rules, and if you break them, well then, who knows what's going to happen. That's one of the things that gets them this high on the list. These creatures are total chaos personified. You feed them after midnight, and they become monsters covered in claws and teeth. And did I forget to mention that if they get a drop of water on them, they'll multiply? Yeah, you know, water, the thing that the majority of our planet is covered with, and you need it close to you at all times in order to survive. If they touch it, then one of them turns into a dozen. They want to break and destroy and eat everything in their path. They're like locusts, except locusts do it because it's in their nature. Gremlins do it because it's fun for them. That's one of the other things that gets them this high on the list. They're one of the only monsters in movie history that wreak havoc because they actually enjoy it. So many of the greatest movie monsters are basically just animals. They don't have much to them other than their ability to destroy. But the Gremlins? Heck, these guys are actually kind of fun. Yes, they're still antagonists, and yes, you still want to see the hero defeat them, but you kind of want the hero to wait to defeat them until you see what the Gremlins have planned next. It's like watching a party get so crazy that they end up destroying the house. You're terrified, but it still looks like everyone is having a real good time. Plus, how many movie monsters actually fight back against their own bad reviews?
What's fun about a movie full of ugly, slimy, mean-spirited, gloppy little monsters who run amok and attack innocent people? Our moviegoers so desperate for entertainment that this kind of trash and cast for fun.
And lastly, at number 1, the best monster in movie history, the Xenomorph from Alien. The Xenomorph makes it to the number 1 spot because, quite simply, it's the shark of space, an unstoppable force created over generations of evolution to be the perfect killing machine. Or, apparently, created by some robot with the God complex who took giant alien DNA and mixed it with spores or something and then put it inside of people and that.
On second thought, are we sure that we want to make the Xenomorph number 1? I mean, shouldn't the last 2 decades of his track record count for something? Oh man, that storm must be getting bad outside. Alright, no time to argue. Xenomorph, you win, you're number 1. I gotta go check the fuse box.
Every inch of this creature's design is meant to be unnerving. The long scorpion-like tail, the twisted joints, the almost metallic machine-like back, the long distorted head that for some reason makes me want to eat an eggplant. It's a geniusly unsettling design. And as I said, xenomorphs are created solely to kill. We never even see these things eat anyone, so it's not like they're killing people for food. They're doing it just because it's in their nature to murder, which isn't surprising when you realize every inch of their body is capable of killing you. From their sharp spear of a tail to the second tiny mouth that comes out of their already disturbing normal mouth. Even their blood is acidic, so even if you are able to fight back, you're still screwed. And don't even get me started on how they reproduce. They suck on your face until it looks like you're dead, only for them to let you come back to life just long enough for you to get a brief moment of happiness before, oops, now there's a hole in your chest. Crappy sequels and spin-offs aside, the Xenomorph is still the best movie monster ever.
Thanks for joining us for our first Thorgiween Top 10 of the year, everyone. We've got way more videos like this planned all month long, so if you want to see those, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you don't miss any of them. And we always enjoy hearing from you guys, so let us know in the comments down below, what are your favorite movie monsters of all time? And as always, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr at Professor Thor. What the hell is up with this hotel? I just checked on the lights. I cannot believe I'm here for 3 more weeks. Okay, screw it. Time to wrap up, so I'm just gonna leave by saying to everyone out there, Happy Halloween. Oh, that's not good.